host, The Truth. Instead, I'm doing another video on the Tom Clancy's division on the Dark Zone bracket issue. Now, I've uploaded other videos that have tried to explain how to fix it and get yourself back into the lower Dark Zone brackets. Instead of being placed into the bracket 201 and above, you go into bracket 261 to 200. Now, a lot of people have watched my video and they're having problems with it. They're saying that transferring the stuff over isn't helping, but it does help. So I'm going to show you how to do it step by step. So I'm going to go into the Dark Zone and show you that at this moment in time, because we've completed Clear Sky and we've got a lot of high-end gear now, a lot of weapons over 204 gear ranking, it's put me in Dark Zone 201 plus, right? So we'll go into my inventory and I'll show you what gear I'm rocking. As you'll see, all this gear, my normal gear, like me backpacks, me gear that I'm carrying, is all like 204, 214, 214, 191, 191, but none of that really matters because I've been carrying this gear into the Dark Zone in brackets 161 to 200. So your gear scores, the actual gear that you're carrying, not weapons, you can go up to obviously 214. That's just your gear score. It doesn't matter about those gears because they're not weapons, they're not an offensive tool like a gun that you can use against other players. So they don't really matter as long as you're using and keeping your gear score below 200. You can have 214 masks, knee pads, gloves and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't really matter. Where it comes into effect is your weapons. If you're carrying a single weapon that is 204 or above, it will prevent you from going into the lower Dark Zone bracket. Now I'll show you what I mean. As you'll see, the weapons I'm carrying, I've got an ACR which is 204, an MP5 which is 204, and a SOCOM sniper rifle which is 204. Now because I'm carrying these weapons, it won't let me go into the lower Dark Zone bracket because their gear score 204. So here's what you have to do. Now obviously I'm going to have to strip these weapons down. Just strip that down and change that for me AUG Para, which is a 163 gear score, and I'll put all my stuff back on it. There we go, like that. Ooh. We want the angle grip, like so. We want an extended magazine, a big one that takes us up 166. So that's the best one, so we'll put that one on. Okay, and then you want my rugged mini reflex scope. Put my skin on it. Bang, okay. And then I will place that weapon on. Okay, now we go to my ACR, which I'm going to strip down now, because that's 204, and replace my secondary ACR with crap. Must be in the box. Right, I'll have to go and have a look on the box. Right, there's my tactical ACR, which is lower, so we'll take that one out. As you see, that tactical ACR is a 183 ACR, or a 182 even. There it is. Right, now we're going to put all my upgrades back on this. Got the muzzle brake. Could have the Omega, but I'll keep the muzzle brake because it sorted stability out. Small red grip. The extended magazine, and it's the holographic sight I want, isn't it? Well, that rugged mini reflex scope. Right, that takes me, as you'll see, it's not as high as my other ACR, but I want to go into the lower dark zone bracket, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, now we're going to put that one on. I'm going to do the same with the SOCOM, because that is a 204 as well. So I'm going to strip the weapons out completely. And I think that should be it. I've got my classic M1A, which I'm going to put back in. Silence it. Nice extended clip. And that's CVS scope. Put my skin back on it. So I'm not really fond of sniper rifles, but I carry one anyway. Now, as you'll see, I've traded all my gear back over, well, all my add-ons to my weapons back over to my lower gear score weapons. Now this is where it comes into effect, the gear score rating. As you'll see, it still wants me to go in Dark Zone 201. So here's what you want to do. Go to your stash. Right, make sure there's nothing in your stash that is higher than 191. Okay. Now you want to take your weapons that are 204. Put them into your stash. We've got the MP5. We've got the SOCOM, and make sure that nothing in your inventory, weapon-wise, is over 204 or over 191, basically. As you'll see, none of my weapons are now over 191. They're all 191 or lower. So now that you've put it in your stash, that still won't help you get back, as you'll see, still into Dark Zone 201. So what you need to do from this point, if you have a secondary character, you need to transfer the stuff that you've just put into your stash over to your secondary character. Now, if you haven't got a secondary character, then I'd suggest create one in order to do this. Right, so once you've done that, you just press start, log out, and what you want to do now is you want to load your secondary character up. When you load your secondary character up, what you want to do is go straight to your stash and remove the 204 weapons from your stash so that they're in your secondary character's inventory. Just gotta wait for the game to load, guys. I apologise about this, but people have been complaining about it, and I thought I better show you step by step how to do it. Right, so I'm gonna switch to my secondary character now. Again, just wait for the game to load. This is a bit tedious, guys, and I understand it'll take some time, but if you are wanting to get into the lower Dark Zone bracket, this is the only way you're going to be able to do it. Short of destroying your higher grade weapons or selling them. That is an option, but if you're wanting to keep those weapons that you've collected that are 204 or higher, then you're going to have to transfer them over to a secondary character. Sorry about this, guys. This absolutely kills me waiting. Realise this video is going to be a bit tedious, but if you just bear with me, I hope that it's going to help people out and show you that this method actually does work. Also, to give it a little bit more speed when you're doing it, don't go to home base. Do everything in the Dark Zone checkpoint. Right, that way, because you've got a stash right there in the Dark Zone checkpoint, you don't have to walk through the entrance to the home base every time you do it, because that's going to take a little bit longer. There we go, 100%.
A lot of people try their luck in the Dark Zone.
Okay, so I'm just going to fast travel the guy over to the Dark Zone entrance. Which you can't do, because I haven't found it yet. So what I'm going to have to do is go into home base. Sorry about this, guys. So that, as you see, there's the ACR, the Navy MP5 and the SOCOM. Now it doesn't give you the gear score on them with your secondary character if you haven't reached level 30. Doesn't matter. Simply just take them out. Okay, now they're out of the stash, which means it won't register on your primary character. So now you've done that, it's simply log out again.
Take care out there, Agent.
And jump back to your primary character. And what should happen is, because you're not carrying anything or any weapons with a gear score of 204 or higher, it'll put you back into the lower dark zone bracket. Now again, like I've said, for gear, your gear scores doesn't really matter. You can have a piece of 214 gear and still get into the lower dark zone brackets, as long as your overall gear score on the equipped gear isn't above 200. Weapons are the killer, guys. They're the absolute killer. A 204 weapon will put you immediately in the higher dark zone bracket. Maybe while waiting for it to load, I'll just ask a question of you guys. How many of you are excited for the Blood and Wine DLC for The Witcher? Which comes out the 31st, which will be 12 o'clock tonight. I'm very excited for it. I've been waiting for bloody ages for this DLC. Now here we go now. I'm back in the dark zone on my primary character. Now, as you know, as you've seen, I removed the 204 weapons from the stash with my secondary character. And as you can see, it's put me back in the dark zone bracket 161 to 200. So there it is, guys. As you'll see, it does work. So again, I'll go through it and tell you basically your gear score. When you're carrying gear, it doesn't matter if that gear is 214 or higher, as long as it does not push your primary gear score over 200. For weapons, it is a completely different kettle of fish. For weapons, as soon as you pick up a weapon that is 204 gear score or higher, it will immediately put you into the highest dark zone bracket. Now, this is because the weapons 204 or higher have very strong talents on them, and it will give you an unfair advantage in the lower dark zone. So it immediately puts you in the higher dark zone. So again, for gear, as long as it does not push your primary gear score over 200, you can have higher than 200 gear on your character. Gear doesn't matter as long as your gear score stays below 200. For weapons, any weapon that is 204 or higher will immediately push you into a higher dark zone bracket. So you need to either destroy or sell those weapons, or transfer them, like I have done, over to a secondary character in order to get your player back into the lower dark zone bracket. Now, what I will say is, if people do this and it doesn't work, then you are still carrying something that is giving you the higher ranking. You're still carrying a weapon that is overpowered, or your generalized gear score or gear you have in your inventory or stash would theoretically push you over that. So again, for gear, as long as it doesn't affect your overall gear score over 200, you're good. If you're carrying gear in your inventory or stash that would push your gear score over 200, then you will get put into a higher dark zone bracket, right? For